Right, we're live. Good to have you all on. Um, question today
Hello.
is: do bad lyrics make for bad music? Um, these are my guests today. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Ace, go first.
Yes, thank you. My name is Ace. I am a university student, currently the third year, and I am a hip hop fan for around 7 to 8 years, basically almost half of my life. I can be considered an old head, but I also listen to pretty much everything.
Brilliant, brilliant. Glad to have you on. Maisie and Adam, what about yourselves?
Well, as you've just said, hi, I'm Maisie,
And hi, I'm Adam.
and we are a band called Homing Pigeons, and we met each other at uni, and we've been songwriting together for about a year.
Very nice. Kieron. Well, just said your name there, but carry
Uh,
on anyway.
yeah. I'm Kieron. Um, I'm a paralegal. I work in UK law. But I'm also a bassist, pianist, and vocalist. The main genre being well, we'll just say metal music, just to make it simple at the moment.
Kieran also runs an Instagram page, and I will link to that in the description. And Maisie and Adam, I'll link to your um, music on YouTube in the description as well.
Amazing.
So to start things off, and then as I said, I'll let you sort of take over the discussion. I heard recently somebody say that if it's very simple really, but what they said was that they couldn't get into a song. It didn't matter what the backing track was like. It didn't matter what the melody was like. It didn't matter about any of that. If the lyrics were stupid or meaningless or anything like that, they just could not get into it, and they would move on. And I wonder what you think of that.
Uh, Firstly, if I may begin, I believe that music in general is a puzzle. It contains multiple pieces, and when you connect them together, there is a perfect image, which of course is subjective. But the thing is, some people may or may not be vibing into a song because they may not be feeling it, whether it is the lyrics or the melody and stuff. My opinion is you should try and grab the good things that you can from every song. You shouldn't just judge a song based off what you may hear first. You should hear it a second time, a third time, a fourth time. Do some analysis before realizing, oh, I am not going to be able to vibe with this song.
I kind of agree with that, but I also feel like lyrics. I can't see lyrics just as them on their own. I feel like they are also a component within a song that create a song because they're used as a tool to like help support a melody. It's not. I personally don't see a lyric. Just I can't see a lyric on its own when it's in a piece of music because I feel like it has to be kind of used like within a song for like rhythmic for the rhythm and to help aid the melody better. So in a sense I do kind of agree with that whole music is kind of like a puzzle thing. Adam described his definition of music. I really like. What do you
Mm.
say?
I see music as creatively organized sound, and like every part of that, lyrics included, is sort of its own entity. So I don't think you can look at a lyric and think that's bad unless it's to do with incongruence within that. I don't feel like there's such thing as inherently bad lyric. I think it's all to do on how it relates with the rest of the piece.
I can in this is going to be the well trained metalhead me speaking now. Um, it's very true. Music and a piece of music, whether it be a song or a purely instrumentation or an orchestral score, it needs to all be taken as a cohesive whole. Um, However, moving on to specifically my genre of music, and I mean, yeah, granted, metal is not everyone's cup of tea. I understand that, However, it is probably one of the most popular genres of music. I can point blank say metal lyrics as a whole are appalling. They're really bad. They are really, really, really bad. I mean, I'm gonna take my two main genres here. So I am a performer of black metal, which predominantly revolves around Satanism and anti-religion. The lyrics are pointless. However, the lyrics aren't understood. For the people who understand what metal music is, it's all about the sound and the feeling. So the way the vocals are performed, specifically, let's say black metal, which are high shrieks, you end up sounding like a ring wraith from Lord of the Rings, or death metal music, where you end up growling and sounding like the Cookie Monster. You can't understand. You can't.
I love that 50 Cent bar there.
you can't understand the lyrics, but it's not the lyrics that are the point. It's the sound that is made. You've got the instrumentation, and then you've got the sound that the vocalist makes, which is just another layer on top of the sound and the atmosphere. So for me specifically, and what I do rather well, lyrics are just there. Because you can't understand what the vocalist is on about. And I mean, some people are going to throw their hands up in the air and say, well, what's the point then? Well, the point is the noise and the feeling that's made.
Yeah,
mainly.
On that point of the feeling and the emotion, I am so passionate about that in music. Like, I feel like music, it can evoke emotion. And if you have a song, so like, cinematic pieces, for example, and orchestral pieces, it's the same as like, metal will create a different emotion, but soundtracks are used in films to create a specific emotion for that piece in the film. And that doesn't require lyrics, and yet people still that still counts as good music in my opinion anyway. And I feel like lyrics kind of don't necessarily need lyrics to back up an emotion, and you can use them, but I don't think you necessarily need them.
I'm going to have to heavily disagree with both of you here. Ooh. But firstly, I want to ask Kieron.
Hello.
Because from that statement that you made, I agree partially if we're talking only about genres such as black metal, in which the sound is more important than the lyrics. But I know some Metallica and Iron Maiden fans who would be banging out of your doorstep right now to kill you for that statement, because basically I believe that yes, a song can provoke emotions from just the sound only. That is true. However, I view lyrics as power. I view lyrics as means of expression. And in my opinion, a song is much more powerful when you have something to say in it. Now, it can be something that everyone disagrees upon. It can be something that everyone may agree upon, a universal message. It could be personal emotions. And yeah, lyrics can evoke emotions, especially in my genre, hip hop. Lyrics are primarily, in my opinion, number one. Then comes the beat. Although some people could disagree with that, because there have been great songs with the lyrics that, if you analyze them, I'm gonna put Kanye West's "Stronger," for instance. Sound-wise, it revolutionized the scene at that point. But lyric-wise, you can't say that it made that much of an impact. So yeah, to that point, I will agree. But in general, the most memorable songs, in my opinion, have been engraved into our minds from their powerful lyrics. So unless you're talking about black metal in general, unless you're talking about black metal specifically, I kind of disagree. I believe that the lyrics are number one, and the others are not a distant, a very close number two.
And I'm
even though
gonna,
sometimes they may be unnecessary. Sorry.
and this is where I think the fact that all four of us come from very probably different musical backgrounds. With you specifically, Ace, I completely understand. I personally don't like rap music, but I appreciate the fact that it's very talented. And yeah, I do get it. The modern day rappers, the lyrics are, I think the easiest way for me to describe it is it's a modern form of poetry. It is. You don't have the grand writing it down on a piece of paper for it to then be published in a book.
Mainly, yeah,
but,
you can say so, yeah.
But from the perspective of, I would say, the majority of musicians, and I think Maisie and Adam will agree with me on this point. You've said that rappers, as a general rule, in hip hop and modern day music, rely on the lyrics. That's
No, I didn't
true.
say that. I didn't
Oh
say
well, they
modern
use
rappers.
the lyrics. They use the lyrics as their form of expression.
Yeah, hip hop in
which is
general,
fine.
the most part. Yeah, that's what I want to
Yeah,
clarify, because there are some rappers that prefer. There are some rappers that prefer to have the easy solution rather than sit down and think of a potential masterpiece. That's why I don't want to
very true.
generalize.
Very, very true. And obviously that's the same with, I think, every single genre of music out there. You have the ones that are gods and you have the ones that are just semi-professional, in my opinion. But I would say, coming from someone that has been performing music with an instrument their entire life, I would say, yes, these guys have talent, but a lot of them rely on other artists to make the music. They concentrate on the lyrics, and then someone else concentrates on the music. Coming from someone that does all of it, I personally, and I think Maisie and Adam may agree on this point, pour the heart and soul into the music, because for us and quite a lot of people, it's the music that actually provokes the emotion.
Well, actually, I agree with it to an extent with what you just said. Well, Adam, go first because you disagree. So I want to hear what you want to say.
I think, for me personally, when I write, for me, like, the music is almost secondary. Like, I definitely put most of my focus and my attention into how I write lyrics, and when I've got the lyric done, I feel like I've got the song done. So I don't think it's anything exclusive to genres such as hip hop to be lyric forward.
Yeah, of course.
And I also feel like, for me, like, because and again, I think this is also where, like, different, like, when people are writing music, like, this is from, like, a songwriter perspective, it depends how people write. I'm a very melodic writer. I'm very melody driven. And for me, like, I will always just seem to, like, whenever I'm writing, I will just think of a melody in my head, and then the lyrics will often accompany that, or I'll write out lyrics, like, all in one, as it kind of all comes together. And I feel like writing good lyrics is a craft within itself that I think is actually very important, and it can elevate a song and make it better. But in terms of a comment that was said earlier, by you, Ace, I think, where you said that what you think makes a song memorable is the lyrics. I disagree with that, and I think it's actually the melody. Because you get people, and that's even actually with rap as well, but I feel like because rap there it's a lot more, like, it's more dense, like, you've got a lot more lyrics in it, and it has to be crafted well, and I think there's a real art to that. But I feel like, you get people who will sing the melodies of something, and then they won't know the lyrics, but they'll try and sing it, and you kind of, like, sing something badly, and you're just like like that, right? But you kind of, what you're doing is
yeah, maybe I'm a bit biased regarding that, because to people that are like, oh, there's such a good melody, oh, what does the lyrics say? It's legit how I listen to some people, like, remembering these, and it's not bad at all. What I do mind, because mainly for me, I have associated this this act and hence my insistence on the importance of lyrics, is that many people today, and okay, sometimes, okay, not in the old generation that much, but people today tend to just listen music just in order to say that, oh, I've listened to this track, it's so good, and they don't want to grasp the true meaning behind some pieces. And I see this quite a lot, let's say with let me think of an example, right? Let's say with Jay's newest album, like 444. Yes, Jay to me is still a lyrical rapper, somewhat. Actually, not somewhat. Jay's still a lyrical rapper for me. But I see that many people are not going to try and focus on the music so much and on the lyrics, rather than on the status of a person that there is. And I believe that's where kind
That's
of
very
the
interesting.
point,
Yeah.
and the meaning is lost. And
Yeah,
okay,
I feel like
maybe some people who will watch are gonna be like, "Oh, what the f are you saying, man?" I've been listening to the story of OJ, for instance, and I loved its content. Well, yeah, but I'm talking about my experience. I just want to clarify that, and some of the people that I've conversated with. I'm in no ways generalizing everything. But yeah, like many people today miss the point behind the music. It's to just sit down, relax, hear, listen, adapt, and feel. Maybe I'm getting a bit too edgy here, but yeah, I believe that they're losing the true meaning, which can be found, in my opinion, better in the lyrics. I'm a huge fan of the lyrical analysis, rather than the melody. Of course, not saying that the melody isn't important. A live example is 50 Cent in the club. The beat will echo with us forever, more than the lyrics.
I do agree that especially recently in like an age of streaming, that the attention of the listener is shifting away from the lyrics, because music is such a commodified thing now, and it's so available that often the most immediate thing is the melody, and so people don't like take that time to sit and relax and just like bite into an album.
yeah, like I feel like as a whole, we've just become, our attention spans have just turned into the size of a pea. We can't, we constantly, because we have so much entertainment, we have like so many streaming things, not just with music platforms, but with so many other mediums of like entertainment, and music is essentially that as well. Like that it can be classed in as an entertainment thing. People kind of, they don't have the attention span to kind of just sit and listen. I'm not saying that's absolutely everybody, but it just seems to be like a general thing that's kind of happened to us. We've all just become like, we just want the next thing. Like I've noticed albums, for example, like how they've gone down. Now it's all about singles and getting things out as quickly as possible.
Like having songs having short snippets that are so like clippable and quotable. Like I hate to talk about TikTok, but I think that's really something that's propagating the shift away from that.
Yeah.
Well, sort of speaking of albums, Kieron, you still, every time you've come down to London in the past when HMV was still open, every time you'd go around and you'd buy new metal albums. So do you agree with that? Do you think they're sort of dying out?
Yeah. Again, and I mean, this is going to be. I think the fact that the Ace is here is fantastic for this, because I think, no offense to you, Maisie and Adam, you're kind of in the middle with both of us here. Going back to what Will said, yes,
That's not a bad thing, by the way.
I am now into I'm nearly into my 700th metal CD. I buy the physical copies, but that's just for the personal reasons, and I like having a physical like copy of it with me, rather than just having it downloadable somewhere and stored on a hard drive. But
I'm relating so hard to this right now. so hard right
going
now.
back to what both of you, I think, have kind of said in terms of like, it seems like the age where people can sit down and just take music for what it is, which is an artistic expression, like that has gone. That could kind of be tied into the question of, do bad lyrics make bad music? Because if people don't have the attention span anymore, it's almost like, why are lyrics necessary? Because if you're sitting down and the first thing that's going to catch you is, because think of a song. I mean, there's very obviously there are, but think of the songs that open with a vocal line rather than a melody, or in Ace's defense, a really strong beat here. People are going to be drawn into that. They're not going to be drawn into a poetic opening. And yeah, granted, they may be, but people are going to be more inclined to sit down and listen to a song if the music is top notch rather than the lyrical content. And yes, I'm going to bring, and as Ace said again, maybe it's being biased here because he's got his genre, I've got my genre, totally polar opposites, but share kind of the same things, just in different places, I suppose you can say. Melody, the melody in the music is what's going to draw you in, because you're not going to be drawn into just hearing a growl or a scream. It's the music and the feeling.
Depends on
the artist.
Depends on some hip hop artists. But yeah, I agree with that point. Music is what's gonna draw you in, but the lyrics is what is going to engrave it, in my opinion. Yes, there are beats that are memorable to everyone. I mean, a prime example of this would be Nothing But a G-Thank. People don't know the lyrics at all, and yet they're like,
Yeah, there's so many songs like that. There's like, Song 2 by Blur, for example. That is like one of the most nonsense. If you listen to the lyrics, the whole idea, like the whole thought behind that song was they were making fun of grunge, but they also wanted to prove that no one actually really cares about lyrics anymore, and they don't really listen. Like, their lyrics are, "I got my head checked by a jumbo jet." Like, that's one of their lyrics. That. But it's a good song, and that's because that's pure. I think that's driven by the music.
Absolutely.
But also, I mean, the only way I think the lyrics fit into that is by how they aid the melody and the rhythm of that melody, and how they and the rhythm of the song. And that's how the lyrics kind of help in that situation. But apart from that, they are utter nonsense.
And they're inaudible a lot of the time. What it's actually saying.
Yeah, they're inaudible.
But then, couldn't you then just be seeing that as like an extra instrument? Because in my opinion, the voice is also voice is also an instrument. It's not. It's not a
the voice is the instrument of the soul.
Oh wow.
Yeah. There you go. Couldn't have named it better myself. But take the Blur song for example. The vocals, are a little bit inaudible, but then surely you can just see that as it's just adding an extra layer, or it's just, as Ace beautifully put it at the beginning, it's adding in a little bit of the extra puzzle piece into the song. But because no one's concentrating on getting their heads checked by a jumbo jet, they've got the melody in their head. They're thinking about the noise and the sound and the feeling that that's creating.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is, Adam, you said that you felt your music is complete when you sort of get the lyrics down or get the lyrics finished. Is that then how you begin the song, or do you tend to begin your music with melodies, or do you bring that in after you've what do you do?
I'm not someone who sits down and writes and then goes and writes the music. It comes at the same time for me. Like, I sit down with my guitar, I think of a few phrases, like little word snippets that I like, and then I find what's singable with those, and it all just sort of untangles itself like that.
Right. So are we then all in agreement that the melody should come before the lyrics?
No.
I believe they should come at the an equal pace.
I'm
Yes.
a
And
very strong believer that the melody should
and
come first. Just
I'm with Maisie.
to throw that in there.
Oh, well, let's carry it on. Go explain.
Oh
God.
well,
I do understand their point. Sorry.
No, that's
Confusion.
Okay. You go first, and then I'll go afterwards.
Sorry. Yeah. What I want to say is that it's very important to note that music will always evolve. That's like a given. So and people have different preferences as well. Now you may ask me why am I stating the obvious? Because some people seem to forget, like the ones who focus too much on the lyrics, maybe like people like me, or people that focus too much on the melody of some tracks. Thing is, music will always evolve. So something that may be considered abnormal or like, what is this that we're listening to? Like the lyrical content of a song, for instance, we can take into comparison Travis Scott, let's say, and who else should we take in comparison? Like, what rapper should we take in comparison? Okay, let's take an iconic rapper like Andre 3000 from Outkast, and let's take Travis Scott. Both of them are good. I like both of them. The thing is, some old heads may listen to Travis Scott and be like, "Oh, his lyrical patterns, I don't like them at all. People like Andre 3000 used to put soul in their songs." In my opinion, people who say that are very hypocritical, because everyone puts their own soul into the lyrics. Whether that makes them bad or whether that makes them good, that's always a subjective term. However, what could make a bad lyric bad, apart from such subjective opinion? The only, for me, universal criteria for this would be if the lack of effort is evident. If the lack of effort is evident in a song, and you listen to, like, I don't know, 8-bar verses. No, if you listen to like 12 to 14-bar verses who go like, "Oh yeah, I went there, I spent this, I did this," and stuff. And yes, I know that was 3 words per verse. People may realize that, either consciously or subconsciously, by the way, that that artist hasn't put that much effort. They may have put some of their soul in it, but haven't put much effort, and that's what, in my opinion, makes it. It's the universal criteria, not the only one, but the universal criteria for a lyric being bad: the lack of effort. And many people can feel that, even if it is subjective.
Well, effort is a very interesting thing to get into. But just bringing it back to melody for a second, Maisie, what were you going to say about melody coming before the lyrics?
I was just going to say, because, I mean, again, as I mentioned before, I'm a very, very melodic-driven writer. So obviously my opinion is going to be very biased in me thinking that the melody comes first. But whenever I'm writing a song, like Adam said, it does all kind of fit into one when I get a finished song. But often, before I even think of lyrics that make sense, or lyrics that kind of fit right, or that have like before I get the deeper meaning of a lyric, I will always be singing a melody above a harmony that I've written. I will write that first, and it will just be in my head, and then I'll just think of words that will have the right syllable count that will fit my melody. And that's personally how I write. And I feel like afterwards you can craft the lyrics, you can spend time doing that, and I think that's actually important to do that with your songwriting anyway, because I think it just improves your song, because it's always good to kind of improve and craft your skill. But in terms of when we're just looking at this for argument's sake, like the first thing I'll always do, a melody will always be in my head. Like I'll always be humming something, and for me, whenever I'm hearing a song, or even if it's like a classical piece of music, you'll hear the top line of something, or you'll hear the main. There will always be a main melody there, and that will be the most memorable thing for me. So I do appreciate.
I'm going to tie in with that,
yeah.
Maisie, and you will agree. I think if you took 50 songs, if you took 50 really famous songs, I think no matter what they are, the majority of people would recognize it if you just played the backing track rather than just listing down the lyrics.
Oh yeah.
People are going to recognize the tune more than they are the lyrics. I'm going to take an example here. In my opinion, two of the world's most famous songs, 80s rock. Journey's Don't Stop Believing. Everyone immediately recognizes the opening riff. I can't sing. Everyone
It's okay, me
recognizes.
neither. High five.
Everyone recognizes the piano to begin with, and it's the same with Will. This Is For You. Toto's Africa. Everyone remembers the bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. If you listed a few of the lyrics, no one would really know what they are, and that's kind of my point. Like the world's most famous songs, and I'm going to put my opinion down here to genre. The sheer contrast, in my personal opinion, the reason why hip hop and rap is lyrically driven is because, in my opinion, there's not that much music there. It's
Really?
compared to, let's say, metal or rock music, which is pure thoroughbred instrumentation on stage, always. And then a lot of rappers, they can play instruments, some of them. But most of the time, if you watch them at like Glastonbury or that, it's just the dude or the woman on stage playing with a backing track that's been pre-recorded.
Yeah, but isn't that backing track music though? But there's music within that backing track.
So is mixing samples? So is mixing samples together not considered a form of pure music? Okay, not pure music, wrong term. Is the sample, like connecting the samples, creating music through them, does it mean it's really that inferior? It is inferior, but you're making it sound like it won't take as much of an effort. If you're talking about nowadays, I can accept your argument at the most part. However,
where it's just, for me, where they've put the passion into trying to get the feeling into the lyrics and not the music, and therefore, as I said, it's more of a poem than it is a piece of music.
Yeah, but okay. I want you to do me a favor. You don't have to do it now. You can do it later if you want. Go and listen to Mrs. Jackson, Outcast, and I want you to listen to the beat, how it goes, and I want you to tell me later. It didn't really provoke any emotion, or there wasn't as much effort and soul in that beat as much as in other genres of music. I understand and I agree that rock and metal will focus more on the music, on the melody part. That is, I completely agree. But there have been many hip hop tracks with beats, with a sampling, that have actually evoked emotions. Like one very particular example would be "Changes" by Tupac. That beat, alongside the lyrics, whew, I cried.
And of course, there's exceptions to every rule, but I would.
But I'm not
think
talking
I
about
could say
exceptions.
maybe as a whole.
I'm not talking about exceptions though. I mentioned some of my personal favorites. With Mrs. Jackson and Changes, and a very good example of the new age, All Right by Kendrick Lamar. Or if we're going to go again back to the old school, Shook Ones by Mobb Deep. I mean, these beats do evoke much emotion, and you can see that the creativity. There is creativity in mixing samples, at least definitely in the old school days and in the new school days. Just not as much because, autotune dominates, and what I like to call the ARIA phenomenon dominates. But I like to take the history as a whole. I don't like to judge based on like one era or another era, and from that to draw out a complete conclusion. Yes, there is sloppy beat producing, but there are also beats that evoke emotions, and in my opinion, some of them more than certain types of metal. Of course, with the exception of epic metal, whose melodies are top notch. I'm a Dragon Force fanboy
really
as well.
quickly that I think every single genre of music, and this may be very on the fancy, but every single genre of music, no matter how it's created, the whole creative process should be appreciated, and I don't think there's anything that's superior to anything else. And I feel like
of course,
having a backing track is that there is still music within that as much as there is if you're playing the instrument live. And I think that every single piece of music, it's a creative expression. So even though we view some things done as you say, maybe sloppy, for example, like it's still a creative thing that has been expressed. And I don't think that even though it may not be your taste, other people can like it, and other people may see that as good music. It's a very, very subjective thing. And
of course, it's exactly the same with mine. I said at the very beginning, I will. The majority of people that I know completely despise everything that my music stands for, all of it.
Yes, they do.
But what I'm saying is, with the genres of music that have live instruments, as in like a drum kit, guitar, bass, keyboards, whatever it may be, if you took the lyrics away, people would still love it and appreciate it. Whereas, take for example, yet again, hip hop and rap, I suppose, if you took the beat away, there would be nothing there.
That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily
true. That's actually not true. I mean, the entire underground rap scene
within
you can definitely make a cappella freestyle battles. I mean, that's a thing. If you take away the beat, if you take away the beat in general in a hip hop song, okay, it is important. But if we take it for the entire genre, then not really. People, I mean, the origins of hip hop didn't necessarily start with beats. They started with words. They started with people expressing themselves back in the mid 60s to early 70s, and that's when the beat came. Hip hop was primarily words, and then came the beats. So no, it's not. It's very good to have the beat, but a hip hop artist, at least someone who actually cares about the craft and doesn't want to go into the mass production road, they're going to manage to do just fine.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I think that there is, taking the beat away from hip hop, I think nowadays it's a very important and key part of it. But the thing is, there is music within it. Like you will have synth parts, for example, now. And I think that in terms of behind the lyrics, yes, it's very lyrical driven, but there is rhythm with how they are saying it. It's kind of like iambic pentameter within Shakespeare. That is done in a musical way. to evoke emotion and stuff. So actually there is music without a beat, like just because it doesn't have a beat.
Yeah, like rhythm and musicality is implied by rhyme and meter, and like there's so much within lyric, and the lyrics
Yeah, of course.
it is musical.
So I think like, you know, the genre going off genres and speaking about genres in this debate particularly is it will throw this whole argument all over the place, because of course everything is different within the genres. Like this whole question, it will be applied differently to every single genre.
Yeah, I think personally we've derailed a bit of topic. Sorry for interrupting. I think we've derailed a bit of topic because we're discussing about the genres in general. I think we've made this conversation melody versus lyrics.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I think it's okay.
Yeah, no,
to
it's
go
fine.
off topic.
No, it's fine.
It's a beautiful thing, because
it's a beautiful thing. I was just saying maybe.
I'm one of those people that isn't, I suppose you can say, a purist. There would be those out there that point blank said, I would never ever listen to any type of metal ever, or I'd never ever listen to any type of hip hop ever, or rap, or whatever it may be.
These people are simps.
Yeah, I think this is why the whole genre thing is actually imperative, because it's two complete polar opposites that have literally nothing in common, I'd like to say, aside from the fact that it's still music.
And they are a form of expression.
Maybe the structure.
All music has been taken from each other. Like there has been influences from every single type of music. So actually I think there is more in common with it than you would think. I feel like every single genre of music has something in common with another piece of music.
And that's not even thinking about crossover genres like nu metal or trap, which sometimes has like sort of metallic screams and stuff.
And Max Martin, who is considered one of the most successful songwriters of this decade, he's done things like Blank Space, he's done Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. He was originally in a metal band. He loved metal. That's where he came from. And now he's writing pop music, you know, and actually he's got very catchy melodies and everything. And again, how he writes, he's very melodic driven.
People can change. People can change. People can try different styles.
He actually says, like, you can look up like interviews of him. He doesn't do many, but you know, where he says he actually uses his metal background to help him. And that's where actually, Kieron, when you say, you know, it's very melody driven, he is very melody driven. So that's where I think he got the inspiration from, and that's how he writes, because of his background in metal. But it's interesting because he writes like he's written Backstreet Boys, I want it that way, you know, like, yeah.
And nothing
tell me why then.
Wow.
I was going to say, this is turned from a debate to the world's worst X Factor performance.
Yeah. Right.
I'm crushed. This track incoming. I know someone would say right now.
But like, so my point being, like, I feel like saying that they are polar opposites. Yes, they have their differences, and they are very clear different. They have very clear differences, obviously, but actually they intertwine. They're like hands that just clasp and intertwine fingers, and that's what I feel like all music it is. In the end, you get influenced by that. It's all crossovers. It's anything.
So when do you release your next book? You say things very nice. And I'm not sarcastic at all. That was nice.
Yes, I think we've all made very, very good points.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and wrap it up now-ish, because I don't want to drag it on for too long. But I think this has been a very productive discussion. To sort of finally wrap it up, then I'll pose a sort of final question then and bring it back to the first question. So if you're listening to a piece of music and the lyrics are bad, but the melody is very good, in your opinion, does that drag the piece of music down? Does that make it a bad piece of music? How can we sort of summarize that question here sort of now?
I'm a categorical no. Hands down categorical no. If the lyrics are bad, but the melody and the music that accompanies it is completely top notch or perfect, I don't care about the lyrics whatsoever. I don't care about the lyrics.
I am a categorical. Oh, sorry. My God, I keep on interrupting. I'm so sorry.
No.
I've said my piece. I don't agree
Go.
with the statement, hands down.
Oh, it's
Kieron,
okay. It's okay. So I'm actually kind of torn in two here because I've stated this entire debate that, for me, lyricism is more important than the beat. And one point I wanted to bring regarding this is that melody is important, but hip hop can adapt to any melody. Like, for instance, I can make a beat out of anything. Although, by the way, I have my headphones now, you're not going to be able to hear anything. And secondly, it can combine different genres of music, even rock and metal, into this. And one very good example, for instance, is actually two very good examples. One is Nas with from God's Son 2002 with the title "I Can." And do you know what he samples there? He samples an orchestra piece. I think it is Mozart. I think it not Mozart. I think it is Beethoven or something like that. But yeah, he took a piece from.
Interesting.
He took a piece from a completely different genre of music. Oh yeah, For Elise. That's the song. Popped in my mind. He took the sample for Elise. He made it into a rap, and he made it into a rap beat, and this song is basically all about how you can become anything you want in life, as long as you try. And my point is, not from the lyrics, but from the music, is that bad lyrics can make a very bad image of a song. However, and this is something I really want to emphasize on. Remember when I was talking about before the evolution of music and the evolution of hip hop? Before, in the older generation, specifically 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it was a combination. But the lyrics mattered more because the lyrics were statements. Now, this doesn't happen as often. And that's the reason I'm torn in two, because in general, bad lyrics can bring down an amazing beat. But in general, a good beat, and most importantly, the subjective opinion of someone who just wants to listen to this hip hop piece. Like, for instance, in my opinion, the reason many people, no offense, trigger warning, that listen to Post Malone, for instance, it's not really because of the lyrical aspect. It's because of the nice. It's because of the nice melodies, of the nice beats, and that's not necessarily something bad. And just to point out, just because people may think that lyrics are important, doesn't mean that you should jump on the bandwagon for anyone who may not have such good lyricism, but accompanies a very nice beat. They're trying to do their best. So yeah, my opinion is yes and no. Yes, that it can make for bad music because the statement that you're gonna make, the lack of effort, and in general, your not only your lack of emotion, but also actually just your lack of emotion. Yeah, the lack of emotion and your not inability, but you don't desire to bring something to this piece. You just want to make it and put it out, mass production. That's why for me it's a yes for this, but also a no because one, iconic beats will remain in hip hop heads, old or new, forever. That's a fact.
I agree with that.
And two, at the end of the day, there's not really such thing like naturally bad music. It's all how we perceive it. I mean, I don't like mumble rap and trap. No, I don't. But that's another discussion for itself. But I can respect people. I can respect people who like it, because at the end of the day, it's a preference, and melody, as much as we like to admit it or not, will remain in the head of someone in general. So that's why both yes and no.
Well, that's a good way to round it off there. And then finally, Maisie and Adam, what do you think on that? To
No.
sort of conclude for yourselves. Oh, fair enough.
just no. That's our
Just no.
opinion.
So, fine. Don't want to elaborate on that at all? Just wanna...
No.
I think for what we've all been saying, I understand that lyrically speaking, it can give a song a good concept, and I think that's all right. Like I can see that point, but again, to go back to the very beginning, you were like, it's like talking about it as a puzzle, right? Lyrics are just a tiny puzzle piece to create a bigger picture, and there are so many other components to do with music that just can make a song good.
Yeah, and like even as a very lyrical writer, like I'm definitely of that opinion. Like,
Yeah,
if
stated
there
in the
are bad
beginning,
lyrics, then
music
it's
is
not
a puzzle.
necessarily that it's going to be a bad song.
Yeah, being a melody-driven writer, obviously I've got the biased opinion of I think a melody makes a song good because I think that's what makes it more memorable. But I do see other people's opinions. But overall,
I think we all do. Even with everything, it's still, no matter what it is an art form. Not everyone can do it. I feel like I'm in a very privileged position to be able to sit at a piano or sit at a guitar and just be able to express myself. And I think maybe the reason why sometimes I haven't agreed with Ace or Adam or Maisie is because I'm myself not a lyricist. There is no way in a million years I could put down my emotion on a page. I need my hands and some strings or some keys to do that for me. I think that's why, yet again, it's all perfect pieces of a puzzle. Like I couldn't live if I was, for example, in a rock band, but I couldn't live without a lyricist, and the lyricist couldn't live without me. And yet again, maybe that's a genre specific thing. But as I said, I think that lyrics, yes, I totally agree. They can elevate a piece beyond all recognition. And I'm going to take, for example, because I have to mention them because I love them to pieces, the greatest metal band on earth, Insomnium. Come at me, people who don't agree. I will fight you to the death. Their lyrics are stunning, as well as the music, which is also just goosebump inducing every single time. The hidden meanings behind their songs, I mean, most of them, yes, granted, are about pain and loss and sorrow and nature, but the metaphors behind what they're saying, for example, as I look in the mirror now, all I see is an old man with a heart like a grave. It's dark, but it's very clever and it's beautiful, so it can elevate it beyond recognition. But like I said, I think that you could still take me specifically lyrics and you've still got a masterpiece.
Well, brilliant. No, I think that's Yep, no, sorry, Ace, please go.
Can I make one final argument, because I just remembered it and it was something that I really wanted to talk about? It's gonna take 2 minutes, not even longer.
No, that's fine.
Because we're discussing, do bad lyrics make for bad music? I want to say that lyrics in general, yeah, I stated about them being powerful because you can express emotions and stuff, and statements and ideas. Yeah, I mentioned that. What I want to say now is that hip hop and its lyrics can be incorporated in quite a lot of genres, including rock and metal. Definitely rock. Like, for instance, I want to mention the supergroup Prophets of Rage, if you know them, former now. But Prophets of Rage was an American rap rock supergroup which consisted of basically Rage Against the Machine and some members of Public Enemy and Cypress Hill, specifically B-Real from Cypress Hill and Chuck D and DJ Lord. And why am I mentioning this? It is because I want to say that lyrics don't necessarily carry a song, but they can be the scapegoat or the Deus Ex Machina in order for a song to excel and in potentially any genre, and they can make or break. Because while the melody is important, hip hop will always have a special place for lyricism, and that can be incorporated anywhere and influence, in my opinion, anything. That's all.
Well, fantastic. Thank you
Beautiful.
all for coming in. I appreciate it's been longer than anticipated, but I thank you all for your patience with each other and listening to each other. It's
all right. It was quite fun.
It's been a pleasure.
Really
I've
good.
just had a
Good.
look. That was 2 hours.
What? Are you
Where the hell
joking?
is that 2 hours?
No,
gone?
What?
it's not.
No.
It was not 2 hours. It was 56 minutes. I have the
Oh,
recording
okay.
here.
Wait,
It's
what?
56 minutes.
I'm sorry, Will. We're passionate.
No.
Well,
And that
it's
is what I love. 56.
It's
been a
been wonderful.
56-minute episode.
Yes,
And that
that's
is-
my
56
math
minutes
skills
of
coming
knowledge.
into play. Yes,
Yes,
numbers.
No,
2
56
plus 2
minutes.
4 minus 1 quick math. But yeah.
That's a whole other topic. But thank you all for your patience with each other and listening to each other. And that's been really in-depth, fruitful conversation where I know we've sort of strayed off topic here and there and gone into sort of, gone in depth on our own sort of opinions. But that's what we like to hear, and that's good. And it's a good chance for everybody to have expressed their opinions to the depth that they want to have done. And I'm sure we could go on even longer, but I'm so glad that everybody had the chance. I feel it was a very rounded conversation, and we got a lot from everybody. So thank you all for coming. It was great to have you on.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
It
us.
was a pleasure.
That was
Nice
good.
meeting
I'll
you all.
I'll let you know when it's uploaded, and brilliant. And again, keep an eye out for future episodes if you want to come on and give your opinions again. All right.
Of course.
And, I think I'm going to end it there.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Cool. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Let's go.